Hello, good people, and welcome back to part two of the 109 with commentary. So, time is always of the essence, and I will not belabor anything that I'm doing here. So, I want to get to the point. All right, when we left off, I left off at, uh, well, I see exactly where I left off, okay? We're going to continue there. It says the next line. Oh, I have to explain some things. Yes, I'm continuing. If you followed along with my video, then you can pick up. You can pick up exactly where I am. Here I am reading, all right, reading the poem. Okay? So you get that shot right there. All right? We are on page 10. Okay? No, actually, it's on page 11. Okay? And, oh, yes. Okay, now, where was I? Okay, first off, when we left off in the other video, I was recalling um, Dick Gregory's words on butterflies and turtles. This is what I was doing, and that's fine. I will mention that, but I also want to address something um, that I didn't fully address in the video. Okay, it's the timeline in my poem. All right. So in the poem, I said 28 days. It says 28 days earlier, Ethiopians felt elated. That's one of the lines in the poem. Then it says 21 days earlier, and then it says 14, and then it says 17 days earlier. It says, all of these things. All right. Now, when I chose 28 days, when I chose to write 28 days earlier, here's the mistake I made. I thought the Battle of Adwa ended, or the victory of the Ethiopians over the Italians during the Battle of Adwa. I thought it ended on March 3rd of whatever year. I'd have to look that up. Let me look it up quickly. So that's an error on my part. I thought it was March 3rd. It was actually March 1st. Okay. And so for my poem to be accurate, I would have said 30 days. Okay. 30 days earlier, Ethiopians felt elated. Okay. Now, if you want to stretch that and say, well, their feelings continued over, didn't stop. They didn't end on the first. The feeling of elation and celebration continued, excuse me, for 3 days. Then great. Okay. But there's no real reason to be nitpicking at these details. However, I'm mentioning it now so as to give some clarification and to explain myself, because in the previous video I did not sound as if I even knew as to why I chose those numbers. But it was a mistake on my part. I chose 28 because I thought March 3rd was the date, and it wasn't. So I'm going to look it up quickly. Battle of Ottawa. There it is. All right, March 1st, 1896. All right. And so it is now 126 years after. Okay. At present. Okay, so let's look around. 126 years, 96. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So that's the first issue, the first point I want to raise before I continue. All right, so I made that correction. Now, okay. Now, because I was working with the number 7 in the poem, all right, I went from 28 days earlier to 21, 14, and then 7. I was working with the number 7. I was trying to establish a pattern. I was trying to establish the significance of the number 7 as it relates to this poem, as it relates to the events that I witnessed and experienced. Um, and because I've now introduced this new information that says, hey, the Battle of Adwa, the victory of the Ethiopians over the Italians, that wasn't on the 3rd, it was actually on the 1st. Now that I've introduced this information, it kind of throws my poem off. Only slightly, only slightly, because as I mentioned, it's a minute detail, because who's to say the Ethiopians stopped celebrating, or who's to say that the Ethiopians were not celebrating the Battle of Adwa, the victory of the Battle of Adwa on March 3rd. So, okay. Anyhow, the other dates, the 21st, 7 days thereafter, 7 days thereafter, 7 days thereafter, all of that is pretty consistent with what exactly happened. So we're leaving that as is and we're moving on. Okay. Next, Dick Gregory. I mentioned Dick Gregory and his thoughts and ideas on butterflies and turtles. All right. And I mentioned that Dick Gregory had stated, excuse me, I stated that Dick Gregory said something to the effect, butterflies and turtles have been here since for millions of years, and that being the case, they have the answer to surviving this thing we called life. They have the answer to survival. And Dick Gregory informed us of what that was. I'm going to play it now so that you can hear it, so you understand where I was coming from. All right. So, brother Baba Dick, take it away.
It's already been here. It's about, one of the great things I've learned is the dinosaur been gone 3 billion years. They were bigger than mountains. I ain't never seen a dinosaur having sex or smiling or eating. They just show me that, ah. And then one day I find out when the dinosaur was here, so was the butterfly. When the dinosaur was here, so was the turtle. Today the turtle's still here. The butterfly's still here. So the universe saying it's about being peaceful, beautiful, and walk slow.
There it is. Peaceful, beautiful, and walk slow. That's what I was trying to say in that last video. I'm thankful that I was able to work out this situation with my unit here, the mixing board, so that I can play that for you and you can hear exactly what I was referring to. All right, there we go. Dick Gregory on butterflies and turtles, and the story went as I was telling it in the previous video that when I was listening to this, I was in the Sultanate of Oman, in the desert of deserts. And I heard him say butterfly, and within a millisecond of him saying that, I had just gotten into my car. I saw a white butterfly pass by. As soon as he said butterfly, I looked up and there was a butterfly, and I was like, are you kidding me? A butterfly in the desert? Man. So strange things were happening. All right. That's what I want to impress upon you. Okay. Let's keep it rolling here. All right. Okay. Now, where I left off in the video, I was talking about the goat story, and I was trying to answer the question, why did I take the photo of the goat? Well, quite simply because I'm from Los Angeles and I don't see goats in Los Angeles. And for me, seeing a goat near my home was intriguing, and I thought it was funny. And I wanted to share that with my friends and family at home. How I remained in contact with my friends and family at home was through Instagram, Skype. I didn't know about Zoom yet. The pandemic brought on Zoom, and SMS messages, Facebook, Twitter. All right. These are the ways that I remained in contact. But Instagram really took hold over my attention span. And I decided to take a photo of those goats and post it to Instagram, which I did. And the story goes the goat stood on my foot, and I thought to myself, oh, not only did the goat stand on my foot, the goat also stared into my eyes. And I thought, man, this is a powerful moment. This goat was just staring into my eyes with its hoof on my shoe, which I was none too happy about. And so that was the experience. I snapped a photo and then I posted it to Instagram. And I captioned it, you know, this goat was in my neighborhood and the goat approached me as if to say, "Hey, what's up, player? What you doing in this part of?" And then the goat says, "My hood," as in, it belongs to the goat. "Hey, player, what you doing in this part of my hood? You're not from around here. You look like you're from far away or something like this." And then with its hoof squarely on my foot, I imagine that the goat was staring into my eyes, like a bully would, and he was communicating the idea, like Dave Chappelle, F your shoes, nigga, F your shoes, nigga, that's how I felt. And then I read more into that experience and I thought, man, was that goat trying to communicate something with me saying, forget about your shoes. Don't be concerned with material items, with material goods, but focus on the larger, the bigger picture. Zoom out. I think Puffy or Diddy said that, zoom out. When you're having difficulty, zoom out. He may have said it, but someone else said it before him, but zoom out. So the goat was telling me, zoom out, Larry. Look at the big picture. So that's how I felt in that moment. All right. I'm going to get back into this poem, starting off where I left off. Here we go. After learning his fate, I still had to drive to work, but I felt homesick, thousands of miles away, and I wanted to get back to LA really quick. The streets were empty, except for me and this one truck. Do you know this mofo cut me off like, what the? It was the start of a difficult week, but something told me to be easy. A calmness washed over me when I noticed that same truck's license plate read 1090. I knew then it was meant for me to see and be in that space at that time precisely. 7 days later, I kid you not, an omen appeared in the sky. There were chemtrails up there. Don't ask me why. Overhead in Oman's former capital, Nizwa, few planes fly overhead, if ever, so the sight of chemtrails above was irregular. It wasn't the lines that had me at a word loss, rather 'twas the sight of the lines forming a cross. Okay, I'll stop there and I'll try to try to catch you up. First, I'll say this is pretty self-explanatory. Everything that I've described actually happened. All right, I was driving to work, a truck cut me off. The license plate read 1090 or 1090. I was completely surprised. Now, in that moment, you have to understand, I this is the same day that I received news that Nipsey was murdered, okay? It was April 1st because I was in Oman, which was 11 hours ahead of Los Angeles or Pacific Standard Time. And I was immediately saddened to learn of his death. I still had to go to work. I drove to work. The guy cuts me off. So now not only am I sad, but I feel angry because this guy cut me off. And in that moment where I felt anger, I felt displaced because I was thousands of miles away from my family and I was in a foreign land just doing what I normally do, which is trying to chase money, right? Just working, just trying to hustle, trying to get paid. And I thought, man, I'm so far away from everything that means anything to me. My hometown, my family. But then when I looked at that license plate and I saw that it read 1090 and those familiar numbers were basically staring back at me, that's when the calmness washed over me and I thought, wait a minute, man. You're not here. Your trip to this country is not in vain. You didn't come this far just to be dropped off and left alone. No, your destiny. You were supposed to be here. This is part of fate. There is a bigger picture. There's something bigger, larger happening, and you're a part of it. And those numbers are informing you of your part. And so that calmness washed over me. I forgot about my sadness. I forgot about my anger at that driver. I forgot about how displaced I felt. I felt that I belonged where I was, all because I saw those numbers. And that is what I'm describing there. And then I follow it up with, you know, it's cool to have a story about all these numbers or all of these instances where I see the same numbers. That's cool. But the pièce de résistance, the creme de la creme, the icing on the top, the cherry on the top, was 7 days later. Now, that's a detail that I could be mistaken by because, excuse me, again, I've established 7 days as an important period of time. Every 7 days, something happens. But I'm not sure if it was 7 days or if it was the day after. I'm not sure. Full transparency, I'm not sure. I don't remember. Well, here's what happened. I woke up after we lost Nipsey, after feeling terrible about losing Nipsey. I woke up. I was going to work. It was a different day. I was going to work. I step outside of my home. I look into the sky and I see something that I can't not explain. I can't explain why it's there. I can't explain why I'm seeing it, why I'm witnessing it and not someone else. But it looks to me like it is a sign. It looks to me, it seems like what you always hear about the prophets receiving messages in the desert. It seemed and felt that way, and for it to be a cross, for what I saw to have been a cross, it seemed to just confirm. I knew in my heart what I was witnessing was a miracle. And so I was like, I started to smile because I thought to myself, you got to be kidding me. This is real. I'm really having this experience. And I thought, okay, even if I'm not going to read all of this biblical stuff, all of this miracle and universal spiritual stuff into it, I knew that at least I had a story to tell. And I felt in that moment that my 10:9 story was complete. It was complete. And I knew what I had to communicate with people. And that was it. So I began to smile because I was like, man, I got it. I got my story. I know why I came to this desert. I came to have this experience. And so that energized me and motivated me to finish the story. And you have to remember that this cover came to me in a dream. More than a year before this book, 2 or 3 years before this book was ever produced, this cover came to me in a dream. I had been seeing 10:9 for such a long time, and I went to sleep and I thought red and white. That's where we're going with the cover. This is going to be the cover. But I didn't have the book. I didn't have the story. I thought, how am I going to tell a story with all of these moments, these isolated incidents where I encountered these numbers? Like, who's going to read about that? And so it was only when I got to Oman that this culminating event, sadly, it was Nipsey's murder, but it was also the sight of an omen, a cross in the sky that I simply cannot explain how it got there, why it was there on that particular day, but only if I say it was a miracle, it was a sign from God, the universe. This was a spiritual calling, a spiritual awakening. Does any of this stuff make any sense? And so there you have it. That's how this was actually birthed, because within the month after, Nipsey's passing, I had written, with weeks, within days of Nipsey's passing, I had written the poem. The poem came to me. I had written it down, and I, outside of work, I was working on my computer to produce this book, this text. And within a few weeks, I had the text and I sent it off to Sri Lanka, where in Sri Lanka they printed my first copies, and then it was a wrap. I had it. Now I got fired from my job. They didn't want me back, but I didn't care because I felt that my mission, my purpose for going to that country, had been served because I had this. I had this text. And for me, that's pretty much all that mattered. Okay? I didn't get as far as I thought I would in reading the poem. We're going to have to go into a part 3. I'm going to end this video now. However, I'm going to introduce a song. I'm not going to play the whole song, of course, because I don't have the rights to the song. Very short snippet, but it is an appropriate song because it resonated with me so deeply, because 10-9 seems to be about destiny, seems to be about my destiny. And in 2004, when I heard the song I'm about to play, that song resonated with me so deeply. There was an awakening within me because it was telling me, man, there's no right way, wrong way. There's no way to go. You just have to live your life, man. Pretty much, and don't be, hard on yourself. So anyway, this is the song, Lenny Kravitz, off of the album Baptism. The song title is Destiny, and this song right here really resonated with me. Let's take a 10-second listen at the beginning of it. Play us out, Lenny.